joint webinar from Regenesis Business School and the Tanzanian Institute of Managers. We welcome you all as participants and are excessively excited to welcome the panel, esteemed panel, that are part of today's conversation. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about reskilling or upskilling the workforce to meet the changing nature of jobs. Definitely something that any aspiring manager or anyone within the workforce is interested in. But before we start, good day, Ashik, and welcome to the session. So before we start the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to take this opportunity, introduce yourself to the participants online and to the attendees of this webinar session, and let us know who you are, what your background is, who you work for, your experience, your companies that you work for, and also let us know what your interest in the title of this webinar is and what we need to look forward to in having this conversation with you. So I don't know if I should put someone on the spot or if there's anyone who would like to introduce themselves first. Nzi.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, my name is Mzee Paul Vedastus. I am basically a pioneer in terms of HR. I started in my human resources practice like 18 years back. So I've been in the field for 18 years where I have involved on all aspects of different aspects of human resources management, starting from the entire human resources cycle, from HR administration, recruitment, industrial relation, and the HR project, as well as the systems. So my career extensively is basically focusing on mining industry, where I worked for 9 years. And also I worked for manufacturing industry for 4 years. I have been working in the aviation industry for more than 5 years. So initially, I have recently left my employer, and I'm looking to join the new employer by 1st of November. So basically, this is just a brief about my history in terms of my career. The most interesting area regarding the topic is it's all about upskilling and reskilling. This is where I found some a changing nature of work, whereby there has been some transformation in terms of what most organizations do from the traditional way of doing things to the digital age. So most companies, they have transformed their work skills or their work demand into digital age. So basically, this is the area of my focus for today's discussion.
Thank you very much, Mzee. Transformation and the digital age, and what we need to do to ensure that we are ready to embrace all the challenges and the changes we need as HR professionals. Right. Asik, am I saying your name correctly? I'm so glad am I not saying your name correctly? So please help us by introducing yourself.
You missed the H there. It's Ashik.
Ashik. Okay.
Yeah, it actually means lover. So
okay.
I tried to look my name.
Okay.
Brief history. I think I'd start by saying, I'm an entrepreneur who believes that life requires you to be multifaceted and follow multiple passions. And I have been involved in technology, IT, creative industry businesses since 1999. I did one specific thing for about 18 to 20 years. I built one of the largest premium ISPs in East Africa, sold it to the largest telecom in Africa, and then left that to follow my other passions, because I believe that we're meant to do more than one thing. Currently, I'm involved in a number of things, and I'll lay them down for you. I have a transformational agency business, which helps other businesses, specifically small, medium businesses, look at their people, products, processes, help them become more profitable by identifying gaps. We speak about upskilling, reskilling, by helping them communicate better with the target audiences on what their product does for their customers and how it transforms their lives, which relates with something like business consulting, sales coaching, people upskilling or people training, digital marketing services, events, campaigns, strategies. All that is happening in one business. The other business that I'm involved in is Echo. That's why you've got me here. Echo is my plan that I had when I exited my telecom or internet company, which was acquired. It was my vision for the next 10 years, which I already set up. I didn't get to achieve it there. So Echo is a dream being fulfilled through that. Echo is an ICT provider, which looks at connectivity, cloud, security and surveillance using AI specifically, managed networks, IT as a service, and the whole shebang of digital gateway services. I'm also into a software business that does software creation, of course, but our main product is digital ticketing platforms. Africa has many buses as preferred mode of transport compared to planes or any other mode. And then we've built a system or a ticketing platform that is currently used by the Tanzanian buses that go to the regions. We recently, I think not recently, about a year and a half ago, won a tender to be the provider for the digital tickets in Tanzania that most of the buses use. So that is the third thing that I'm involved in. The fourth thing I'm involved in is helping people build their own skills. So into personal development, I'm a personal development coach as well as a trainer. For now, there's other works in the pipeline, but I will keep them away. What is most interesting to me about being here is I believe everything business or personal is about people. 100% of your customers are people, and the people of today need to be better if they want to be people of tomorrow, survive in the world of tomorrow. And so this is a topic that is close to my heart, and that's why I'm here. Samahani sana, forgive me for the long.
You certainly sound like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur always are looking forward and seeing what tomorrow will bring and being prepared for what tomorrow will bring. That's certainly something that we are looking forward to having a discussion about, is exactly that, is how do we know how to prepare for the future and the skills we will need for the future. So looking forward to having you on the panel. Thank you so much for being here. Right. Thank you so much. John or Joanna?
Okay, thank you so much, Linda. I'm Johanna. It's Johanna Mpagama.
Johanna.
I'm the head of HR for WWF Tanzania. I've been in HR industry for over 12 years now, starting with local NGOs. I've been involved in the public sector and now an international NGO as well. My area of expertise in organizational development, as well as organizational psychology. And also I'm a youth champion. So I'm running an NGO dealing with youth as well. What do I have for this day is, in our current situation and to stay competitive in a labor market, what we need is upskilling and reskilling. So I think this is a must-do, which we want every employer to have in his or her to-do list, the need to develop your employees. As you know, we have been bombarded with the constant changes in technological and innovation and artificial technology in the workplace. So expanding our staff skills set is a win-win for the company and organization as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Certainly a different range of experience coming to play for this panel, bringing the public sector and NGO in the field of where we are playing. Really looking forward to your addition to what we are going to talk about. Thank you so much. And then Bahati, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Linda. My name is Bahati Jonathan Komba. I'm head of people and culture for Friedkin Companies Tanzania. But I'm a corporate leader, and my experience is diverse. It covers HR, conservation, project management, education, in different fields from aviation, mining, manufacturing, and so forth. And currently, the company I'm working for, looking after human capital in the aspect of hospitality and tourism. We located the head offices in Arusha, but we have other offices in Dar, where I'm seated currently, and operation in other sides of Tanzania. The area of interest on today's topic, like my previous speakers have said, the skilling and upskilling, you cannot escape that. You cannot avoid that if you want to stay in business. And the readiness to be in business is to invest tomorrow if you want to see tomorrow. If you focus on today and ignore the important aspect of human capital, so there will be no tomorrow for you. So that's the area of interest, and that's why I said, let me hear all this expertise, what they have to bring on the table in this area that we are about to discuss. So in brief, that's it for me.
In brief, that's it from you. In brief, you say, and I put that in inverted commas. Thank you so much. Such a vast, also again, such a vast background and so many aspects that you can link to what we are talking about. So what are we talking about today? Right? Before we do that, just also to introduce myself, my name is Linda Pitsia. I represent Regenesis Business School. I'm currently the head of Regenesis Nigeria. So I'm coming to you from Lagos, 2 hours behind where you are. You're already in the afternoon. I'm still in the morning. So that's who I am. And I'm very happy and very privileged to be given the opportunity to have this conversation with the four of you. So thank you so much. So let's think, where do we start? And I start by saying that reskilling, upskilling, the workforce that meets the changing nature of jobs. There's a lot in that title, right? In that title, we're assuming there is a changing nature of jobs, right? So should we set that as a baseline? What is this demand, the future demand of the job force of today? Where are we today, and what are we talking about when we say that there's a demand for the future that's different than where we are today? Is that a question? Shall I point to someone to start asking, or is there someone who would like to start this conversation off by answering that? Giving us the baseline of this is where we are, and this is what the future looks like, and this is the change. You've all mentioned it in your introduction, but let's be clear about that. Where are we?
If you're choosing alphabetically, then I guess it's me. Do you want me to go first?
Oh, that must have been something that's been your whole life. That's been part of your story. Yes, please, you may start the conversation. Thank you.
Before I start, I believe we're doing this for the students or people who are taking on this course. And I don't know about my other speakers, but I hate to see the window for events being blank. I like to see my audience. It gives me power. It gives me, motivation to do more. But anyway, if they're too shy, I understand. The part of leaving your shell or cracking your shell is not being shy and getting yourself out there in the world and facing the world. So hopefully they will show themselves as we go along. I'll answer your question in as brief as a way possible. Look, I think the world goes through revolutions when it comes to jobs, industries, whatnot. We started from an industrial revolution, which was everything to do with mechanization, right? And then we went into the second industrial revolution, which had to do with electrification. We got electricity, discovered how we can use electricity better to better enhance our lives. We went through the third industrial revolution, which was more about the automation, globalization, right? And then we went through the fourth, which was digitization. I believe we are in the fifth, and that has a lot to do with personalization. Now, when it comes to personalization, as human beings, and I've done this for more than half my adult life. I've loved selling because I understand selling is really about solving problems and addressing challenges. And for the most part, human beings buy on emotions and use their intellect to justify why they bought something. And that is why personalization is such a huge thing, no matter where we're going. Personalization, coupling it with digital transformations that we're going through, the innovation the world is making, the changes that we're going through. To become more effective and efficient, we now need to use machine learning. We now need to use AI. We need to improve our processes. And so for where we are going, I think upskilling or acquiring new skills is absolutely vital for you to be able to get there safely first, but also be part of that contributing economy or contributing life cycle or sphere. It's because everything around us is changing. And as human beings, even though we are creatures of habit and we have the emotions that I don't think change throughout the beginning of time, but how we perceive them or how we consume those emotions or how we use those emotions to do things may change from medium to medium. And so you must be aware of what's happening and must be prepared to hop on that journey. Not in as small words as possible and not confusing people.
Okay, so there's a lot also, a lot of questions that comes to mind. But before I continue with the questions, perhaps one of the panelists, if you'd like to add to what Ashik has said. So let me continue the conversation then. Ashik, just for your sake and for your question also or not for your comments that you started making, the participants unfortunately do not have the capacity to switch their cameras on in the webinar. So please, that's just the way in which for bandwidth and things like that, we just find it easier. But they do have the capability, and ladies and gentlemen, they do have the capability to ask questions in the chat function. And if you do see questions there as a panel member that you would like to answer while we are having the conversation, please don't shy away from answering those questions. I'm not going to do that. If you don't, and the conversation that we are having is going on too much, I will definitely at the end of the session give the opportunity for us to look at those questions and answer them. So Ashik, yes, you said a lot, the revolutions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we are being told that we are in the 5th industrial revolution, where we are in this personalization of thoughts, personalization of mind, but personalization of products. So everything that we do, we want the personal experience, whether it's searching for something online, booking a holiday, we want that, and we need to be capable of it. My question here, still, where are we? Where are we going? If we have to take into consideration that within Africa, there are certain parts of Africa, and maybe your experience can guide us here, certain parts of Africa who still not even geared to the 4th industrial revolution, but they're not ready to embrace that, or don't have the capacity or resources to embrace that. How do we bridge the gap between where the rest of the world is and where we are in Africa, to ensure that we stay competitive in this environment? And taking the theme in mind as employees, employers, how do we bridge that gap? Because we know that this is a reality, because of resources, or wherever it is that some people are struggling to even get on band with the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah.
Yes, so I can see that you have bandwidth issues. So we are one of those people who don't want to jump on the revolutions, I see. Anyway, that was pun intended. What I would like to say is, look, before I unpack that for you, why do we have to follow the world as Africans?
Okay.
So let's not have this pressure that because we have to keep up with the world, we have to change. And I'll say that in a few things. Number one, I don't know how much are you aware about East Africa, but mobile money is huge here. Okay. We go through over 15 trillion shillings of transactions every month on mobile money. Okay. I know that is in some countries or some cities not even enough transactions for credit card or debit card transactions, if you know what I mean. So it's not that we're not going through. Our challenges and our problems are slightly different than the developed nations. What you guys or what developed nations take for granted, we don't take for granted, or we don't have the luxury for taking for granted. And so it's not that we're not going ahead. It's not that we're not moving ahead. We're just addressing our challenges, which are slightly different than what your challenges are first. And I don't think we need to be in line with the world. Whoever sets that standard, why should I be in line with what someone else is doing? I need to address my home challenges first. Charity begins at home. You solve the problems at home. You become better at solving problems at home. And that experience will help you be better in other things. Now, why is it important that you'll ask me to upskill? Because if I'm not preparing myself for the rest of the world, because when you upskill yourself, keep abreast of what's happening in the world. So for example, I'm in Tanzania. I'm a Tanzanian. I love being on the ground. I'm an African boy, okay? But I'm exposed to the world. I understand what happens. I travel, I have friends, I have networks, I have customers across the globe. I know how to deal with them. I know they're different when it comes to even the conversations we have, the levels of technology implemented or used, the processes, the digitization. However, what I do with that is I understand that this is where the world is. This is where I am, right? I need to solve the challenges around here. But if I want to make myself more valuable, right? Open up more opportunities for myself, I must make myself more relevant. How do I become more relevant? By upskilling myself and preparing myself to even deal with this, which is ahead, if you may call it ahead, right? And so I answered your question first. I don't think that we need to have them as a standard or people who are developed as a standard to move. I think everyone's pace is different. Everyone operates in their own time zones, and there is no measure of how fast you can do things like that. But at the same time, we're in different contextual, I think, journeys, and we have different challenges that we have to solve, whether it's a developed nation or a developing nation or Africa, if as a continent. So as long as we're doing that and we're making those baby steps to be able to move through the revolutions or enhancement or digitizations or upskilling, that is fine. However, for people who understand where the world is going, upskilling is absolutely important, even though it's not, even though it may not be very much used in your area right now, but because you have already upskilled the level that is outside your realm, you become inherently more relevant and valuable. And that creates more opportunities, that creates more business, and makes you a person of value. And when you have more value to give, I think you will attract more value, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Bahati, would you like to add to that? Maybe give us your perception on what Ashik is saying from where you are.
Right. From where I am, I will agree with the previous speaker on aspect of let's go with our pace. It's not like dodging from the globe, dodging from the world, but your question was linking like the fifth industrial revolution, preparedness. How are we doing? I would say in Tanzania, we're doing it well. And with our pace, we're where we're supposed to be. And I would go into the examples which he has mentioned as well, like the mobile money, the transaction that we do in mobile money. Because when we started even moving into using a mobile phone, it was hectic for us to adapt it at first. But now I would say everyone do have, and not researched really, maybe there are few who doesn't have, but majority of people we meet, we mingle with, they do have. So at this stage, if we jump into the fifth industrial revolution, whereby we start speaking of robots and human being blended together and do work together, then we start talking of defining the roles that are currently supposed to be there. That will be, for me, I would say it's a big jump comparing to your question. It's not like we are still on the fourth industrial revolution. We're going into fifth, but our own pace based on the environment that we're into. And sorry.
No, continue.
Sure. So I'm saying that it's not like there are things that we're not looking at. The industrial automation, digitalization, the faster production process, the pace that you have to do to be on real time, and failure to be, preventing to be left out. We all do that. The Internet of the Thing, computing things, bringing the data, and I'll speak on the employee side of it, the employee information. Gone are the days where we used to keep the files. Now we're going into crowd-based. So that's why I said 50-50, we are on fourth, but we are going with our own pace. But all together, we are going global because most of aspects are going on real time. For instance, currently we are online speaking on skilling and upskilling, and globally we are connected. You're seated in Nigeria, I'm in Tanzania, and I'm quite sure there's somebody somewhere is looking or is following us and knowing exactly what we're doing. So even for us, we are on that pace. I would like to touch on maybe the training aspect of it, the way we skill, the skilling side of it. Previously, we used maybe relies more on internal training, or you would prefer people to step out, drop the job and go and learn. But currently, we can do the online studies. The job is being done, the studies are being done. So we are into the fifth industrial revolution, if you want me to answer the core of the question, but we are going on our own pace, depending on the environment that we're into.
Yeah, and like Shik said, solving the problems that are real for us. Z, if you want to add to that from your experience, your background,
yes,
before we continue.
From my background experience, what I came to realize is the world has become a kind of a village. It's like we have bridged the gap between Africa, Europe, and Western other countries. Because today you cannot separate the continents. It's like we are in different continents, but the aspect of our life, it is actually the same. So why do I say this? It's because the demand of Europe in terms of what industries is actually practicing right now, it is quite similar to most of the other places because of the interactions of the automations. So whether you are in Africa or you are in Europe or you are in America, you will definitely find that there is a huge interventions because of the system need. I will give you an example, like, for example, a recruiter in TZ. If you will become to be the most competent recruiter, you definitely needed to have the understanding of the ATS recruitment system, like the applicant tracking system. It is the system that most of the company and most of recruiting agencies globally, they demand resources to understand those kind of systems. So there are systems like Oracle, the Tareo. These are the global network system of which it doesn't matter on whatever destination you are, you basically needed to have this better understanding. So what we needed to do, particularly in Africa, is to inspire people to learn and put themselves on that angle. So there might be some difference of understanding where people think like this is for Western, this is for Europe, and this is for particularly for a certain country. But I think for me, to remain competitive, we needed to inspire our people, to inspire our employers, to ensure that the world has changed and whatever it is happening in any other place, so that we does not left behind and we keep ourselves to the market. We needed to equip ourselves with those particular tools. So being that we have to upskill ourselves, being that we have to reskill ourselves. So the knowledge to upskill and inskill and reskill, it has to be impacted to everybody. So people might not have the understanding of this, but for us as an expert on the field, we needed to encourage people to upskill to ensure that the gap in between our destination is not basically present. And in terms of automations, in terms of changing nature, today you find an opportunity is advertised anywhere, but the same skill it's demanded from every candidate. So to keep yourself competent, to be able to compete to the market, you definitely needed to have the skills that is globally needed, like what I have said. So basically, this is how I look at it. And from that angle, upskilling and reskilling become to be vital and cannot be escaped.
Jana, would you like to add to that?
Yes. As my previous speaker said that we are not going to use robots anytime sooner, but as an employer and the employee, we need to do this predictive analysis on the future as well, to see what the current skill set do we have and what the future will require. And this will help us to upskill our staff as well as reskills as well. As in case of Tanzania, we currently are very good in terms of technology. We do have apps developers or programmers in the country as well. As my fellow speaker said, that we do have mobile money operating in Tanzania. But also this requires us to think ahead as the world goes ahead of us. We as Tanzania also, we need to cope with the changing nature of our work. For example, we talk about HRIS. The world currently at the global, they're using HRIS. So us as HR in Tanzania, we need also to adapt to that. The same applied to our workers and as employers. For us to remain and stay relevant and competitive in the labor market, we need to reskilling and upskilling our employees. Thanks.
Okay, so as a panel, we have established that it is essential to reskill and upskill, right? And to make sure that we do it at the pace that our environment requires it to do, as a summary of what we've established thus far. My next question, or what I would like the conversation to continue as, is something that all of you have mentioned. Most of you have mentioned that we need to reskill and upskill. There's an assumption there that it involves training and development. You, Bahati, spoke about training and development. Now we are online and things like that. Maybe as a panel, what we could also discuss is, what is this new phase of training and development? Is it just online? How does it look like, this reskilling and upskilling? What is the responsibility? Is it a responsibility of an employer or an employee? What does that entail, the upskill or reskill of individuals? Who would like to take that one on first?
I will take that one on, and what I can tell, the upskilling and reskilling, it is a two-way traffic. Employer have their role to play as in terms of upskilling their employee, because it definitely produce some benefit to the organizations. However, employee, for the sake of their career development, they need also to upskill or reskill themselves. So it is basically something that both of the parties, they needed to work hard. And why do I say that both parties, they needed to work hard? For an employer to remain competitive in the market, they needed to upskill their employees. They needed to reskill their employee. When I talk about upskilling, it is where the employer needed to develop their employee by giving them more knowledge in terms of what they are doing in order to mitigate the market challenges. And when I talk about reskilling, this is the situations whereby employer have to train their people in terms of adopting into new technology, something like which has not been happening in the company because the company is investing on systems, is investing on technology. Of course, it has to reskill their employee to be able to utilize those invested systems. So the advantage that employer get in terms of upskilling their employees, it basically keeps the morale of the employee high. Because when employees acquired the upskilling, it will definitely have good knowledge. The knowledge will give competence and confidence to the employee. And therefore, the employee is capable of dealing with the work-related matter with confidence. There would be no frustration if somebody has the knowledge to deal with the problems. But if the employer does not do the upskilling for the employee, definitely the employee will be frustrated because will not be able to solve their problems. But also, it helps the employee to retain their resources, the employer to retain their employees. Employees, it shows like employees who are getting training in their company, they are likely to stay with the company for quite a long time. But the finding shows that some employees, they even decided to leave their employer because the company does not train or the company does not give new skills to them. So they will likely to look for other company which can train them, the companies which can give their training. Although they are also to some point, they needed to take some responsibility in developing their skills, but for employer, it will definitely be important whereby they have to do that to be able to remain on the market. But also when the employee is capable of obtain the skills from the employer, the time to resolve the problems at work will be less compared to if the employee does not have the proper skills to do the work. So this is where you'll find if the company needed to become efficient to deliver for their customer, upskilling cannot be escaped. This is what I can say.
Okay. Ashik, if you would like to add to that? Or continue the conversation?
Well, look, I'll simplify everything. I think employer or employee side, I say this when I started off saying that, listen, everything we do in the world, whether we make machines, robots, or not, we're doing it for people. And at both sides of the aisle, whether you're an employer or an employee, whether you are a supplier or a customer, we are all dealing with people. So at the end of the day, it helps all parties when you have a more skilled person, when you upgrade yourself, because it's eventually about creating value for each other. And in the world of business or products and services, there are only very few people or very few companies that are disrupting or that become real innovators or try and make something entirely new. That comes once in a while, right? But everyone else is either imitating or fulfilling a gap that one person or one company cannot fulfill. So what is your real USP if you go and really find out? And if I bet you, when you ask most businesses, they will not be able to really define a USP for themselves, why they're different. But here's an easy way to really make yourself different, is by upskilling yourself, by becoming a team, a person, a company of more value, because you can do more. You also, from an employee's perspective, you are foolproof in your career as well, right? The more skills you operate, It gives you the ability to have diversification in your thinking, to become more creative, to apply solutions that you learn from other skills or other upskilling exercises in which what you're doing right now, right? So I think it's inherently about improving value for both the employer and the employee.
I agree with you, and it brings me back to the second part of the question: is how do we learn? What does learning look like? Yeah, responsibilities, accountability, responsibilities. It is the employer investing in there, as Bahati said, the human capital of the organization, right? But how does learning look like, and how do we think about it differently, knowing that what is required from employees are this problem solving, creativity, thinking of future proofing our employees. So what does the world of learning look like within an organizational sphere, within this reskilling and upskilling theme that we are talking about? Joanna? John? Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, so talk to us there, because I mean your background in the NGO, working with youth, you are with your finger on the pulse of what the future holds, right? Because you're working with youth. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? Share your experiences there, linked to this creativity and the need of what the future employee or future proofing looks like.
Okay, thank you so much, Linda. So from my experience with the employees, normally the employees, especially in Tanzania and East Africa, I speak for East Africa as well. So normally the employees believe that they have capacity to perform certain work, but looking at the employee, sometimes you might find that there is a need for upskilling of the particular individual, but that's not the case always, as we normally tend to focus more on hard skills compared to soft skills. So when you focus on hard skills, you tend to recruit people based on their qualification, like a degree, masters, and so forth. But in one case, I had a discussion with one of the CEO about the upskilling, and he told me blankly that we hire lead-made product. So when we bring you on board, we bring you ready to perform at the required level. So some of the employer, they are not see the need for upskilling, I might say, while the employee, some of them they see the need, and some of them they not see the need. So where is the gap? So we do have this gap from employer and employees. So the other thing which we are facing as a youth in East Africa is, what particular skills do we need to upskill that? So, for example, you have your employees, maybe in manufacturing industries, and you think for the benefit of the company, you need to upskill the marketing skills of the particular employees, but you did not have a consensus with the particular employees on what skills as a person do you need in order for you to excel in your job. So there is a mislinkage here between the employees and the employer on which skills do we need as a whole. The employer, they have their needs, and the employees also, they do have their need as well. So this is where the HR we come in. So we as HR, we need to evaluate the personal need of the employees as and the employer need as well, and come together and make sure that we make this upskilling and reskilling relevant to both the organization and the employee as well. I may give you an example. For example, we are doing this predictive analysis, right? So the future of work might need some skills for the employees to be employable in the future. So I might not stay with your organization forever. So for my personal gain as well, I need to improve in a certain skills. The question is, does your current employees allows you to improve in that skills which will be required in the future? Something like app designing. Are we ready? For example, I must ask Ashik, are you ready to allow your employees who is maybe engineer, he wants to become HR or people in culture in the future? Are you ready to improve such skills to, for your current staff? That is $1 million question, and most of the employer, they're not ready for that. Thanks.
I am, absolutely. Let me give you examples. I have had people who started off as messengers or team makers with me in my business, but ended up being senior engineers handling a whole region, for example, Mwanza. I've had people who started off as drivers with me who ended up becoming accounts assistants. So I think it is person to person, like I said, business to business. I love people winning because I think I am only as strong as my weakest team member. I believe that people should have multiple, I think, skills and passions because it adds to you. Listen, buddy, I can go out and speak. I can go out and design. I know how to design. I can go out and work out. I can go out and do business. I am good at maths. I'm good at chemistry. I can write very well. I can act for you. I can become a videographer, photographer. I can become a technician for you if you want me to configure something for you. And this is something about that I'm talking about. Okay. And I'm a Tanzanian. I come from humble beginnings. And the only reason I'm doing that or I'm adding to myself because I'm becoming more valuable. I want to be more valuable. And so if I can do it, anyone can do it. And if I let anyone else do it within my team, it only adds to me.
Yes, yes. So Linda, to answer your question, I think we need to also to check with our curriculum as well. If our mentoring, coaching, even training program is still working, and if there's need for improvement, then we need to do so. Thanks.
Mentoring, coaching, continuous learning, and what Ashik is talking about is continuous opportunity creation for development within your organization and with your employees to add value, not just to the organization, but to the employee themselves as well. And I think a lot of that is rounded within the willingness. And we always remember that, right? The willingness of employees to take the opportunities to learn as we are in this world of work, because some people are comfortable with knowing what they know and putting their passions within another field of their life. You know, if we talk about the whole holistic being of humans and who we are, where work is just one facet, and that's what they are comfortable with. And I think for people who are passionate about their jobs, or people in the positions that you are in front of me, or who have found the linkage between their personal purpose and their job fulfillment, their purpose within their organizations, you're lucky, because a lot of people search a lifetime for that to happen. My point, however, is the willingness of employees to take up the opportunity to develop, and that development, then moving forward from there, right?
Can I answer that? You know, I think it's relatively personal. It's on people to people, like you said.
Yes.
People who want to have certain things in their lives, they understand that for them to get more, they need to be more. Also,
Yes.
remember that Ashik at age 18 or 19, 21 wants different things than age 31.
Yes.
And may want different things at age 50. So understanding that, that's why I think leadership is more about you serving your people than them serving you, because you need to have a good finger on the pulse and understanding these different facets of people. So now it's people to people. So there are opportunities that as an employer you can provide, or as a leader you can provide. And then it's really up to the employees to understand, know where they are in their journeys between what they want and how they want to be more, or they don't want more, or they're happy with what they have, and there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being the best number 3, number 4, number 7. There's nothing wrong in wanting to be number 1. There's nothing wrong to be doing things on your own, just learning the skills from a job for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then going to open your own. But it's like I said, you can only put the best foot forward. So have the options, have the availability for your people to be able to grow more in value. But if they don't want to, have a conversation with them, understand where they are in their journey, what do they want, and help them get there. I'll give you a very simple example. When I hire people, I hire people on 3 bases. And I rarely look at CVs, to be very honest. So it's integrity, enthusiasm, and excitement. For me, honesty is important. Tell me if you're here to learn from me for the next 1 year, if you want to go and do something else. You're here because you're passing your time. You're here because you want something specific. And that's fine by me. I will help you get there. If you want to have your own business too, I will help you get there. The second is enthusiasm. Do you have it within yourself to go and find out on your own without me having to spoon feed you? If you don't know something, find out. Yes, I am there. I'll guide you, but go and find out. And third is excitement. Are you happy to do what you're doing? Right. So it's people to people. You should control what you can. For things you can't control, you move ahead.
Yes, you make peace with that. I agree with you that they and I think it brings us back to where we started. It's part of the 5th industrial revolution, where people even see their employment as a personal experience. It's where we are moving towards. Bahati, would you like to add to that?
Yes, sure. I wanted to add an aspect of willingness of the people within the organization. I think being in decision making, we have to, at some point, look on the ways to build the willingness, because there is the pace of getting the, maybe it's a service, deliver the service, or maybe it's a product, you want the product to be out on time as per customer demand. But at the same time, there's the thing of skilling and upskilling, which is brought in between that you have to go along with. So that as decision makers, maybe in organizations or as shareholders, what they have to look at for me will be to build the culture that allows that, because it starts in the mind. People might start rejecting that, saving the time to do service and product, at the same time ignoring the skilling and upskilling aspect, which is very important to take you into tomorrow. So what can be done is first to blend it into the company culture or company values. It becomes part of it. And the other aspect would be simplifying it instead of putting in formalities on how you bring about the technical skills or the soft skills. It's the way you present it, especially to adult learning. It's a bit tricky to get them to sit maybe 3 hours in sessions. At the same time, it's bad for business. So there have to be simplicity and innovation aspect in it. In that way, the willingness will be built within employees, and at the same time, the investor will see return on that investment. But if it's left out as an option, it's really, you'll be left out, because learning is not an option from the pace that we have currently. And I'll cite example of the revolution we're currently in, the automation of some aspect. So as an organization, if it wants to see tomorrow, the team that it currently holds should be prepared to see that tomorrow and to fit into that tomorrow. So if we busy looking into willingness and leave it like, let them be willing, will be left out, or maybe the organization will be closed. But the two have to go together. There have to be ways to blend them together. There have to be ways to innovate it. At the same time, you do not ignore the fact that the service, the production within the organization is happening.
And can continue to happen as the
Yes.
future unfolds. All right. Nzi, you nodding your head. Would you like to add to that? You're on mute, sir.
Okay, what it comes from my mind as a HR personnel and from my experience, if I can tell, what I see, employee get inspired to learn, and there are some aspects that the employer needed to create, the environment, the atmosphere that employer should create within the environment of work that will encourage people to upskill. So it is just not a rocket science. There should be some mechanism, people should feel it, they are being developed internally. If the organization has got a system where they can equip their skills to the staff, and they have an internal promotion system where employee can see the growth within the organization, there is a future. People are being transformed after acquiring some skills and capability. This is what you are going to do, and this is what is going to help the employees to be having the passion to upskill themselves. Because if that process is made transparent, it creates an opportunity for everyone within the organization to see there is a growth, there is a career path. Everybody will definitely be connected to the business, and everybody will be passionate to upskill and reskill himself or herself. So apart from showing that there is a growth within the organization, the employee always has to be inspired to move to their career. So this is something where HR comes into a place. We have to tell the people. People should see that we are telling them what they can see it is happening. Because if you are going for training and you get the knowledge, and if there will be an open opportunity, you are being promoted to a certain level, this means that the encouragement within the organization, it will go across the company, like everybody needed to learn. And if I will learn, then I have an opportunity for growth within the organization. And apart from only doing that, employees will not leave the company because they see there is a future. The consequence that is happening to most companies, where people see there is no internal development and you encourage people to learn, so majority of, or some of the employees, they get spared. They say, what does it matter? Even if I go for learning, there is no any changes. So because some of the employees in the organization, you will find like they don't want to leave the company. They want to work with the company throughout their life. So they have no passion to go to look for a job. And since they have no passion to go to look for a job outside, they also have no passion to prepare for the change job, like getting into another job outside the organization. But for those who wish to move, they will always upgrade themselves. They will always upskill themselves, reskill themselves. And if they don't find the growth within the organization, they are likely to look for the growth outside the organization. So this is how we should do, by understanding the impact of upskilling and reskilling, and also mitigating our employee career need. We can be able to bridge this gap of reskilling and reskilling, and people can definitely look for more development within the organizations. So this is what I see, and by so doing, it will encourage people to upskill themselves. It will encourage people to reskill themselves. Yeah.
So if I can summarize what the two of you are saying and making sure that I'm understanding what you are saying that the inspiration and the motivation to upskill within the organization still stays an organizational responsibility to help people see what the opportunities within the organization is. And as Bahati said, that means that there is like an organizational growth that takes place, because productivity still needs to be optimal. We still need to see that there's a growth path for us here, and that there's being invested for us. There's been investment for us within the framework of the organization, right? And where the organization is. When Ashik started the conversation, she said when he interviews is that if you are telling me now in the interview that this is how you see your purpose within my organization for the next 2 years, you have to then, as a leader, decide, is this the skill, the enthusiasm, what were the 3 things you were talking about that I'm looking for in an employee and that I can use for the next 2 years, making
enthusiasm, excitement.
integrity, enthusiasm, excitement. So those are the things that for the next 2 years, even though they're telling me they're moving forward, I make peace with that, because that's what I need right now as far as skills are concerned within the organization, and this person can give it to me. Bahati is saying, if I hear you correctly, yes, that's all good and well, but maybe you can convince, motivate, inspire the person to still stay within your organization and grow within your organization. But the integrity part of that interview that you were talking about, Ashik, is to say, this is what I want to learn from you as an organization. So I hear what you were all saying. What I want to, because our time unfortunately is ticking. What I perhaps want us to just, for the sake of the young people that Jan is also mentoring and being part of, and in the NGO, what are these future skills that everyone is talking about? Because we're all talking about, and we're talking about hard skills and soft skills and technical skills, and some people are saying it will be more valuable for you if you can be creative within the world of work that's coming, or if you want to future-proof yourself. What are the type of skills that you should be considering?
Okay, what I can say, Linda, if you talk about the future skills, obviously it will depend on the position and the career path of a certain career. If I were to talk in terms of marketing, the future skills in terms of marketing, it is focusing on digital marketing. And if you are a marketing, you are a marketing candidate, you definitely need to equip yourself mostly on digital marketing, because in terms of marketing, the marketing has transformed from the previous traditional marketing approach that employees or employer has been exercising. Right now, everything has been moved into digital. So this is the kind of the skills if you look on that particular area. As I said before, when you're talking about recruitment, the applicant tracking system, wherever you look at as an international recruiter or as a specialist recruiter, you must equip yourself with those kind of recruiting tools. If you want to be competent, if you want to need to compete to the market, being a recruiter, the future skills for the recruiter, it is to understand the recruiting software. It is to be equipped with the such kind of ATS recruitment. So basically, this is how I can say. For HR practitioner, in terms of HR systems, you must be confident with the best HR system in the world, like the human resources systems, like Tareo. You talk about Tareo, you talk about the this called the what is this? The system that you use to keep data for HR, and that can help you to generate reports. Because
so what are the skills, therefore, that you need in order to do what you are talking about to do? Remember, I'm thinking of what do we tell our kids? Because we are saying, or that what, 85%? Is that the right?
To help you.
Yeah,
So,
85% of jobs are not going to exist. How do
I'm
you
going to help
tell?
you. I know you have to go, and we also have to go, so I'm going to help you. Not to, but I think I agree with Mzee. When it depends on the sector that you are in, whether you're going to be a more technical person, you're going to be, for example, if in the medical or health field, you want to become legal. So there is its own respective things that you need to do. We understand academically. For me, I believe in what I call this the human skills. In my perspective, if you upgrade some of these, and I'll give you a few examples, some of these, it will help you deal with the other things that come. So, when you're a doctor, we don't live in an isolated world. Linda, I think, I don't know if you're there or frozen. I can see everyone else move, but Linda not moving. Hello? Okay, see, I think there's a need for connectivity there.
Is the network.
Yeah. But it looks like we're okay in Tanzania. Outside Tanzania is the problem. Maybe
Okay.
Tanzania should move into these other areas, colonize them.
I
Yeah,
think
Nigeria network.
we can proceed. She's
So we
using
lost
a
Linda.
mobile phone. Yeah.
Okay, so should we wait for her or should I just continue?
I think you continue because
She
it's,
told us we continue.
Okay, so anyway, so the point I was trying to make is, yes, whatever field you go into, whether you're a doctor or an engineer or a digital marketer or a lawyer, you will have to deal with other aspects of your life, your career, professional and personal. And with that in mind, I think value comes from when you understand other things better and how you learn different things and be able to make yourself more valuable. I'll always speak on value. So there's skills like, for example, complex problem solving skills. These are things that I think people should definitely work on. Complexity of how you are able to solve a difficult problem is an extremely important skill for people to learn. I also believe critical thinking is something that people should learn and practice, or even unlearn in some cases. What we know about the world 50 years ago is not the same. What we know about the world 20 years ago is not the same. So there's also an unlearning process. And another, I think, important skill to learn is negotiations. A lot of us, and I see this when you look at youths, when you interview and whatnot, when they come fresh from university, you guys in HR, you know this better. They look very good on paper, but when they come and speak to you, they can't even speak so well. They can't let alone negotiate. So negotiations is an amazing skill, I think, which will help the individual in no matter what field they are. Another skill which I feel is very important is people management. Wherever you are, as you climb through the ranks of the ladder in within your corporate organization or in your life or in your business, you will have to manage people, whether it's from a customer perspective, internal partners, colleagues, supplier, or related, or your peers. So people management is an extremely important skill as well. Things like creativity is another skill. So I believe these are the skills that bring more value, and I think these are the skills that prepare you for the next thing that is coming. Linda, we decided to go on. I see you
Thank
have.
you.
So Ashiki,
Thank you very much.
okay,
Yes.
Linda, I would like to add more from Tariq list. So I think Tariq, the other most important is networking. As you know, now we are living in the global world. So the ability to networking with the other part of the world is really important, but also time management. We're living in an era that people, they are very busy. So our youth needs to learn the importance of managing our time wisely. Thanks.
That's an interesting thing, time management to mention, but I'll leave it at that. But I don't know, Bahati, have you had the opportunity to add to the conversation? My apologies, my firewall kicked me out. I don't know what happened because the power was stable, my network was stable, but yeah, I had to go through the firewall to get in. So my apologies for that break. Bahati, have you had the opportunity to add to the conversation?
No, for this
Most
point I
recent
haven't
one.
added, but
Yes.
my previous speakers have mentioned very good skills that's needed. And together with those good skills that have been mentioned, my take will be, I do not want to portray that some of the young ones are in the wrong field. No, we are all in the right field. And there's a room for everyone, because the revolution doesn't come to take us out. That what I would say, because it's more of inclusive between the human and the machine side of it. So whatever field someone is has to be innovative side of it as well. Because if you were studying to be, let's say, auditor, and you were to go doing it manually, there is technology. So simplicity, technology is there to assist. So if you were going to be in project management and you learned on writing that big proposal, again, I would say simplicity, because with the pairs, human capability to deal with wrong reports and huge or a lot of information, it is changing. So there's the room for everyone, but in innovative way. So every field, for me, how I see it coming, will exist, but it will all depend on how you're going to innovate it. And the skills that have been mentioned previously, the human skills, the negotiation skills, the technological skills, the negotiation skills, they are all very important. And I just want to assure everyone that we are all relevant, but innovation is what we need to look at.
Okay. Zay, have you had the opportunity to add value? Sorry. You started the conversation, right? You're on mute, sir. You started the conversation saying that it depends on the industry or depends on what you are doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you see, like there is a specialist skills that on the industry that you are dealing with, but there is also the general skills like what has been highlighted by Sharif when he mentioned exactly like what Bahat Komba have just reiterated. So for that sake, the technological skills becomes to be a working supporting tools for the skills that was highlighted by Sharif. So if everyone can equip himself or herself on those particular skills, whether you are in school, whether you are at work, or wherever you are, you will definitely be able to mitigate the future of work. Hello, Linda?
She got stuck again.
Yeah, I see there is a challenge with the network today for her.
Maybe I'll help her do some of her things. I believe oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
I was gonna say
What's happening in Nigeria today? Sorry.
I said I was gonna help you out there, saying I think we spoke about upskilling, reskilling. What does it do? What are the skills? Prepares for the future, and I think some of the key things, which is why we should do it, and for individuals, it's not necessarily only related to businesses or employers, right? And I just wanted to give my view, but since you're back, go ahead. I think we still have
No, please, let's do that, exactly that, and then use this also as our final thoughts moment. Actually, please continue your conversation. So for everybody around table, is what should we take from this conversation that we had? Please give me your final thoughts.
So I will give you why you should upskill or reskill if you need to, but also then I'll couple in with my final thoughts. So first and foremost, I think, which is the most common one, in the last 2-3 years, the pandemic. The pandemic caused a lot of businesses, a lot of people to evolve faster than they would have liked, whether it's go on the digital journeys, pick up new things, new way of working. So you never know what the world is going to present you with, but I also think growing in tech innovation and digital technologies is an important reason, because as the more you grow in that, the more you have yourself open to newer opportunities, because you're now able to interact, sell, if you may, network on newer platforms than you are able to before. I think automation is an important reason why you should upskill, because as we go through this world, we have increasingly more things to do, and automation of processes help you save time. There are two things that don't come back. One is the time that you spend on this world, and the words that come out of your mouth. So these are the two, and automation helps that, right? And it makes you more valuable. I think it also, and I said this before, the main reason is, as an individual, you foolproof your career. So if you're doing one thing, the pandemic has hit, now you need to do something else, at least those added skills will help you maneuver through or give you an option. The other thing that is not very well talked about, and I don't know about in Tanzania, is multiple streams of income. A lot of times, and this is coming back from, I think, conventional employers who say, oh, Bana, if you hired with me, you cannot work somewhere else. Where to find a kazi pengine? I'm sorry, I'm speaking Swahili because I have my other guys who understand this. But
not me.
but why? As an employer today, I let all my people know, listen, this is what we're in for. This is our mission as a business. This is where we want to go. We're going to be superstar in our industries. But it's fine if you have your own business. Tell me, nitakusaidia, I will help you, as long as it does not interfere with our business. Right? So, multiple streams of income, and upskilling is extremely important for that. Okay, I speak about value, and when you do that, you become more valuable. You have more opportunities, and so I think, for an individual, these are my whys. Key takeaway: look, we're not meant to be the same. The nature of life is such. We're born young, small, fickle, weak. We go through a cycle, even stupid sometimes. Wiser, better, stronger, better looking, sexier, and then we go through the dip again. We go through weak, fickle, and then we die. And so, inherently, it is showing you that as human beings, our potential is not to be the same people. If you've wasted your life if you become the same person. So upskilling, reskilling, whether being forced by your employer or your culture or your business, we're not being forced, whether being forced by your environment or not. The moment you understand that you are more valuable by making yourself a better version of yourself, and you can only do that by learning, unlearning new things through new mediums, experiences, people, and knowledge. You are able to do more, be more, live more, get more from this life. And at the end of the day, whether you talk about businesses, AI, machine learning, robots, not robots, it is all organic, because we are all here and we are all emotional. So that's what my key takeaway for everyone who's listening to this is.
Thank you so much. Nze?
Okay, Linda.
Mhm.
I'm just been questioning myself regarding the director who challenged Johanna about the ready-made. I think the concept of ready-made, when it comes to today's world, it is no longer existing, especially when you talk about the digital age. There should be no ready-made. What I believe, employee needed to go on continuous learning. So the ready-made was a traditional belief, but today we see, like, if you are not going for training for the whole year, it is actually a loss of skills. So at least after 4 to 6 months, somebody should be learning something. And even if it is not something new, but you have to keep yourself upgrading. But the concept which the director challenged Johanna, I don't think if it could really be good. And in my opinion, those kind of challenges, we needed to tackle them by opening up a discussion and try to show to this type of belief, like there is no any ready-made today. So I don't know what is the approach and understanding on the panel. I would like people to share my concerning on that, because I've been just thinking of the ready-made as he challenged Johan, like we're hiring ready-made. There's no hiring of ready-made today.
Okay. So maybe that would be a concept that we need to go into in our next session, as we have 10 minutes to go, and put that final thoughts to rest for those who are listening and for the participants. Bahati,
Okay.
if you would like to share your final thoughts. I do, however, agree with you that this is a continuous process that we are in, and that maybe 4 to 6 months you have to learn something new is a bit too long in the world that we are living in today, right? And COVID, yes, has taught us that crises are around the corner and crises never stop. So, you know, the next one is just tomorrow. So being prepared for it is making sure that you're fit for it. So, Hati, perhaps if you would like to share your final words here.
Right. Thanks, Linda. For me, I would like to say we all need to be ready. And by all, I mean the employer, employees in the whole organization side of it, because to assure business continuity, you have to stay relevant. And for employees as a professional to continue working or to continue being in that role, you have to stay relevant. So upskilling will not be open, and reskilling is critical.
Recording
You
in
will
progress.
be left out or something. I would say maybe the organization will collapse. So for organization as well, they should be financially ready to skill people, reskill people, and prepare as well financially to stay relevant, that if there is technology system that need to be adapted to the organization, they are ready to do that. And that's where they'll keep moving. And the last aspect, I spoke of people, I spoke of finance, and the last aspect will be the culture, the organization culture, the values that you believe in the organization. So those are the pillars of your, I would say the pillars, the ladders that lead to your future. So in reskilling and skilling, the culture has to be built in within. And most people, when speaking of skilling, reskilling, they'll go into a finance side of it. It's very expensive. We cannot afford it. But we were caught in surprise in 2020 with all that happened. We were not ready, but we were forced to be ready and to go with what was required at that particular time. So that has taught us a lesson that we should always be ready. And by readiness, for me, in summary, I would say we'll have to look at 3 aspects: the finance, the people, and the culture.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, John or Joanna.
Okay, thank you so very much, Linda. So COVID taught us that everything is possible with the use of technology. And now we have this hybrid work as a new approach. So for the youngster out there, so we are in a gig economy. I like a chic flexibility that we are in gig economy. Now you can have short contract work apart from your core position. But I predict that in the future, we are going to have resource sharing. And this will require our youngster or our staff to upskilling, but also reskilling to be competitive with the other colleague in the world. So for the youngster out there, just try as much as possible to reskill yourself, upskill yourself, so that when the sharing economy came, that you are employable and you can be relevant in the labor market. Thanks.
Just Linda, to touch on what my Johanna has just said, Ashik has made a very strong point. You know, we are very structured in a way that you come to me, sign in 8, leave 5, you don't do anything else, and instead of looking at productivity side of it. So if we have had investors who look in that side of operations, the country or the region or the world would have been a different place, would have been an even more better place. You might find someone is bogged at sales and marketing, but they have a good interest in IT and they can do better, not only for people externally, but for your organization as well. So this point of flexibility, maybe also, Linda, we put as the next point of discussion, because this is very interesting as well.
Absolutely. It's definitely
You
something.
don't have a lot of human resource people who think like that, do they?
No, no.
Don't.
But it is definitely something that we need to consider as a profession, because the talent pool resources is not equally dispersed. People are very skilled in what they are doing. Does it mean that they only need to be skilled for us and us only? Or like Ashik is saying, that we need to open up the stream of income that we can allow employees to have by not just having it with us. What does productivity look like? Do we still measure productivity by thinking people are sitting in front of their computer, when we know that that is not happening? People are more productive in an area that they are comfortable in. So yes, there's definitely a lot that we need to still need to keep on talking about. But I think what all of you has established, and what I think is the nuggets that we can take with us, is the relevance of you as a resource, and of you as your biggest asset for yourself as an individual. By upskilling, skilling, reskilling yourself is not just the employer's responsibility to do that for you, but it is definitely yours as well. As you see your growth, as you see your future, as you open your own doors and embrace your own opportunities. For young people out there, technical skills will always stay relevant, but technical skills and the technology and systems and processes we use is in continuous flux, continuous changes that happen there, which makes your soft skills, your human, your HR skills, reason to negotiate, to manage people, because the people aspect of working will never go away, will always stay the same. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you graciously, greatly, and from the bottom of my heart, for providing your expertise, your knowledge, and sharing your ideas so bravely with everyone who listened. I just, as you were talking, also had a check in the Q&A as well as the chat box, and there is no questions from the panel, from no, not the panel, from participants.
Either we
I
can
know.
one of them, or the other speakers are very good.
I think that but I don't think it's a set of confusion. It's a set of, I have a lot to think about before I can structure where I need to go to next. So maybe the Reskilling, Upskilling webinar 2.0, what we need to look forward to, allowing people to ask those questions. So for everyone on the panel, thank you very, very much to Regenesis TIM for hosting a panel like this, for being brave enough to ask the questions that need to be asked, and then again for you having the courage and having the gracious giving nature of sharing your expertise, knowledge, and your thoughts on something that is so important for every employee and employer out there to know. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a beautiful, glorious rest of the afternoon.
Thank you so much.
And may you be blessed. Thank you very much.
Same to you, Linda. Bye.
Thanks, Mzi. Thanks,
Linda.
Ashik.
Bye, Linda.
Bye. Thanks, Bahati.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joanna.
Okay, bye.
Have a good afternoon. Bye.
You too.